I'm Sori.
That's Booby.
And Jelpy and Ghosty and Chip.
Dokken.
Docker. Dokken?
Pretty sure it's Dokken.
What?
Dokken. Pretty sure it's Dokken.
Oh, it's an N. I even typed it, but I thought for some reason it was an all.
For some reason I think that it's going to be titled Docker when this is all
No,
over.
I already typed it in. It's Dokken. It is.
What is it? Dream Warriors by the band Dokken.
Mm-hmm.
For time
This
and
is for
topical,
Sin and Glory. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
for time and topical political commentary, you can hit us up at Middle America with Vin and Sori. I just posted a recent video. So there you are. Yeah, listen up. And then you can tell them what you were alluding to, Sori.
So this is the Sin and Glory Alliance. Basically, on Patreon, there's a couple ways of getting your song reacted to. There's, spam us on different social media platforms and ask for your song and hope that it gets in there. And it has. And, showing up to firesides and stuff, that's one way to get it done also. But there's also, you jump on Patreon for $1 a month, and when you get on there, you will find your way into Discord. We'll send you the link for that. And then you can join up in a group of other people that want the same types of music reacted to or listened to by us, so you guys kind of band together and use your points to get your song bumped to the top of the list, or you can just jump on the $75 tier and get your song. Like, you don't need to work with a team to get it there. So there's lots of different ways, whatever type of personality, a person you are. But this particular song was picked by the group Sin and Glory. So shout out to Sin and Glory. They actually did the intro to our video here.
Yeah.
So shout out to them.
There you are. All right, let's hear it.
Okay.
It's got, is that Freddy Krueger on there?
All right, let's listen to some Docker.
It's Dokken.
I did it on purpose.
Oh, this is probably on the soundtrack of the movie, because look, there's Freddy Krueger right there.
Freddy Krueger?
Yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh gosh.
Apparently it's part 3.
Really?
I mean, otherwise, why would they have Freddy Krueger on there?
I don't know. I was never allowed to watch such things.
Okay.
So, I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, what a situation. Okay.
Ready? And?
Go.
Go.
No. Freddy Krueger.
Oh my gosh,
Freddy-
that's so corny.
Freddy Krueger. You don't want no smoke with Dokken and Freddy Krueger. You know what's up, bruh. You know what's up,
Who
fam.
are those guys?
They're the Dream Warriors, obviously.
Oh my word. Okay, we saw the official video. We couldn't put it in this video for you because it would get blocked. But the link is in the description if you want to see what we actually saw. I highly recommend it. That's very interesting.
I thoroughly enjoyed this song. I think I like 80s hair metal. You know, a lot of people, you know, talk trash about 80s hair metal, blah, blah, blah. It was, you know, meaningless and yada, yada, yada. You know, like.
But you're kind of a fan?
I like the melodic chorus, man. I just imagine, like, how it must have been for people, like, being a 16-year-old kid.
Yeah.
It's late, you know, not necessarily late at night, but you're at some house party when you're a little high school and you're playing that song on the way there. Everybody's singing.
See, I like the sound of it, but the lyrics were very corny to me. I just had a hard time to get past that.
So
the dream work. I like the concept. I like the concept of, like, the band, like, was, to me, that, to my understanding, the band, the Dream Warriors, were chasing away, like, those bad dreams that she was getting.
Well, first of all, the instrument, like, at the beginning, at the, you know, little...
I'm silent, but I'm using my phone to hold up the incense. So I'm gonna, let me just, excuse me. Go ahead, baby.
So like that introductory little clean piece at the beginning, I used to love that setting on my Digitech distortion pedal.
Oh, really?
Oh my gosh, I love that setting. I found that setting on my distortion pedal, and I just
you know what?
wrote like 19 songs on that because it's just so, I love the way it sounds.
I haven't told you this, and I don't know why I haven't told you this. I would like it if you played more.
Yeah, when?
I know, what? Yeah. Right, because by the time we get time...
That or go to the gym.
Yeah, by the time we get time, it's too late.
Poor neighbors. Too late to apologize. Yeah, I love that setting. Okay, so let me, if I'm right, because it's Freddy, it has to be. So, Freddy Krueger, I know you didn't watch this stuff growing up, but basically,
no, I saw the poster.
I think he was a guy and he died in a fire. Like he was like falsely accused of something. He died in a fire.
Oh, okay.
And then what happens is when kids go to sleep or young teenagers go to sleep, he appears in their dreams and then kills them in their dreams.
Oh my gosh!
Right. So I only saw
heck?
It was him, and then you had Jason, you know, whatever, the hockey mask. So I only saw I think part 4 or 5. I never saw part 1 or 2. But I'm assuming that the Dream Warriors would be that these kids figured out how to kill him when they went to sleep. Hence the term Dream Warriors. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming is a plot of the film is that the kids are now fighting back.
This is a theme song for that?
This has got to be on the soundtrack.
Okay.
This has got to be on the sound. It has to, because it's Freddy Krueger's all around it, and that's obviously proprietary information. So I'm pretty certain that this is that's what's happening. So in that context, it makes sense. I lie awake, dread the lonely nights. I'm not alone. I wonder if these heavy eyes could face the unknown. Namely, you're trying to fight sleep, because the minute you go to sleep, you enter into Freddy Krueger's world, and then he can kill you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I went through a phase of my life where my dreams were just terrifying. And it was always of death. I'm pretty sure that it was around the time that my grandmother had died. I'm pretty sure that's when it was. And then it was just dream after dream after dream of just like...
Yeah.
It was awful.
Yeah.
I'd like walk into a room and the carpet had a lump. I'm like, oh no!
Not being able to, yeah.
And then it was like the... The only way that I was able to actually stop that from happening, I had talked to somebody and they basically just said to pray before I went to sleep. So I did.
It worked?
I did, yeah. And yeah. There was something about Michael Landon. I don't know if Michael Landon helped me in my dream or if he was one of the dead people. I'm not really sure.
So Michael Landon appeared to you in a dream and told you to
No. Somebody in my waking life said, pray before you go to sleep.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure. Pray before you go to sleep.
Inshallah.
And so I did. And then once, I'm pretty sure it was... I just prayed every single night before I went to sleep. And every night that I prayed, I didn't get those crazy dreams.
Yeah.
And if I did, I didn't look under the carpet anymore. I just said, I'm out of here.
It's a really interesting concept.
But my point is, I was scared to go to sleep.
Right.
Because I knew that those dreams were there. And if I thought that Freddy Krueger would be there to actually murder me in my dreams...
Well, the thing is, if he murders you in your dreams, you die.
You're actually dead. Right. Yeah, I know. That's terrifying. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Like,
and
I was scared enough just to find some bodies, never mind.
Yeah, and it was an 80s movies, and they didn't have very good graphics or whatnot, or whatever.
It was good enough for me when I was that age. I saw the poster.
But the concept... I think it's a brilliant concept because whatever you do, you cannot not sleep. You're gonna fall asleep eventually. Right. So that the inevitability of that happening is pretty crazy. Which, of course, I always thought of this, or I think of this thing as like a grand metaphor for death, right? Like, because one of these days we're all gonna go to sleep for the last time, and then whatever happens in the next world is truly going to be the truth of what actually happened to you.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
I just think it's just it's a brilliant way to really talk about human frailty. Like, human beings, we're so delusional. But, like, we really think, people talk about they're the master of their own domain and all this. It's like, yeah, you're the master of your own domain. You can't even, you can't even keep your eyes open. Like, hours go by at a certain point you won't even be able to keep your eyes open. Like, what do you mean you're the captain of your list? I just, like, anytime I run into like that degree of human frailty, it's just a very, very sobering thing. So I think I see a lot of metaphorical things in the Freddy Krueger concept, like, and then I think, like I said, I think he was like falsely accused of like hurting kids.
That's what I was wondering.
So then they set him on fire, and then, like, he died in a fire, and then, but now he's like, okay, you're gonna accuse me of hurting kids and kill me in a fire? So that's why he's all like that, because he was burned,
Well, what's with the fingers? Is that because his fingers burned off, so he had to put something else?
Yeah, I don't know if he was like what do you call those?
I don't know. Maybe he was already scary to begin with.
Maybe he was a landscaper.
Remember, like, that whole idea of, like, when somebody already is scary looking and then people say all these things about them that aren't true.
Right.
But it's like,
yeah,
it's just because they happen to already be kind of weird.
Fictional character, main antagonist, Nightmare on Elm Street. Spirit of a serial killer. Oh, so he wasn't falsely accused. Who used a glove hand with razors to kill his victims.
In their dreams. Causing their deaths in the real world. In the dream world, he's a powerful force and was completely vulnerable.
Yeah, there it is. The original film introduced the backstory as a Springwood slasher, a serial killer of children who had been burned to death by his victims' parents after evading prison. So, there it is.
Wow.
By his burned, disfigured face, etc. So
that's a pretty...
He was already an evil bastard and killed a whole bunch of people.
Kids. And then
right.
The parents, because he evaded justice.
Right.
They took justice into their own hands.
Sadat. And now he's going around and killing other people. That's why it talks about, like, bitterness or something like that right here. Where
I didn't even see the bitterness.
In the bridge. Sweet revenge, the bitter end this time. Break the spell of illusion, bound together waiting for you. Which is interesting because it's like...
I knew that was going to happen. That girl carried that little girl out.
Yeah.
I'm like, drop it, drop her.
Well, when he says sweet revenge, it's a very interesting line because I'm assuming it's talking about Freddy taking revenge on the people that killed him, but it's like, bro, you deserved it. Like,
I know. The delusion.
Yeah, but it's always one of those things where like
You were a serial killer of children.
Right. But I don't know what the personality disorder is, but it's basically like you think everybody's out to get you. You have no self-awareness whatsoever. It's probably psycho-sociopath or something like that. But like, you just cannot conceive of the world outside of you and your feelings and how you feel. So even though he killed all these kids, like he's getting revenge on the parents who took quote unquote justice into their own hands and all the rest of it. But it's very good argument for nonviolence, I guess.
Jeez.
Because they took vengeance and then, there you go. But I think vengeance is like such a... I'm not saying it's a good thing. It's just such a common trait for human beings. This desire for... And that's why people make the distinction between justice and vengeance, even though people are like, what do you do? It's the same thing. Well, the motives are different. Like a justice-oriented person is somebody who wants to make sure things are right. And if it takes...
Because the impact that those wrong deeds have on a society as a whole.
Right. Whereas a vigilante, or a vengeance-oriented person is reacting to a personal slight, and they don't care about the ramifications that ripples out, which of course is somebody, easy for us to say, but, let's say somebody did that to our kids and then was about to walk. What would you do? Like...
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Robert Englund has said many times he feels the character represents neglect, particularly that suffered by children. The character also more broadly represents subconscious fears. Yeah, Jordan Peterson said something really interesting where he's going through Cain and Abel, and then he went on a little 5-minute screed about Harry Potter, and he's like, look, when you have a thing that is such a phenomenon in the world, you have to, it's tapping into something. And you got to figure out what that is,
Yeah.
So it's a very, very intriguing thought. I think ultimately Freddy represents our fear of death, and then killing a child is psychologically traumatic for the entire community because the child is the way that you kind of have eternal life. Right? So, like our first parents, and then they had children, and so they live on through us, and up to this present day. And so, the death of a child or the purposeful killing of a child is sort of the purposeful killing of your next generation, and completely solidifies your death. Like you're not gonna have anybody to carry on your name and your DNA if all your kids are dead.
Yeah.
Like you're completely and totally and finally done.
Yeah.
So, it's art. You play around with it and all the rest of it, but.
I think that part of the terrifying thing about someone killing a child is, like, a child doesn't have, like...
Yeah.
They don't... kids do annoying things, but, like, not to the degree that you feel like you'd want to kill the child. You know what I mean? Like, so for somebody to kill a kid
I feel like these were teenagers, though. Like, it was a young Johnny Depp. He was, like, the girl... Like, she was teenage, 16, 17-year-old age. She wasn't, like...
Yeah,
a child.
They're still...
I don't know. I've met some pretty terrible 16-year-olds.
I haven't, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think that, it's a larger sort of subconscious fear that we have about, the ultimate fear is death, but then there's also underneath that is the fear of extinction. Like that you will die and nobody will remember you. I was watching Oprah like in the early 90s. She brought up the subject of death, and the guy was talking about the idea that he would no longer be in the world and nobody would care and life would go on and nobody would remember him and yada yada yada. And that was the first time I heard something like that. I was like, what? Like, what? Like, of course, I was like, 3, 4, so. I'm hearing that. I'm like, well, you'd be in heaven, bro. Like,
yeah.
Who cares if people down here don't remember you? Like,
yeah. That was never something that ever even affected me. I would hear people say it, but
if you have kids, they'll remember you.
I mean, your kids will, but it doesn't take very many generations. But their kids aren't gonna, and their kids. You know what I mean? Like, think of, how much do you know about your grandparents? I mean, my gosh, I loved Meme, but there's very few things that I actually know about who she was, because kids are so friggin' selfish, you know what I mean? When you're a kid, it's just all about you. It was like, I went to visit Meme, she would tell me some stuff about her life. I wasn't really all that interested in holding on to those details. You know, she makes fudge, I would eat some fudge, and you know what I mean? Like, I would help her out with stuff around her house, but it wasn't about who was Meme as a person.
Right.
Like, sometime, I remember one time that we all sat around, and I said, has anybody ever thought about this, that Meme is a girl? And they were like, that's weird.
Wait,
because,
like, she was female?
Yeah, because...
she was so rough.
No, Meme with lipstick and different things like that. But it was... I think that you just didn't see... We didn't see adults as, like, people. They had positions in our lives. There's my Meme. There's my mom, my dad. They're here. They serve purposes. We help them out because that's what kids do to help out adults. But it was like this idea that she was an actual person. Like, I'm a girl, and she was a girl. Yeah. She is a girl, but she was a girl... like my age at one point. She had thoughts and feelings. Like, it was just a weird thought. And I remember when I told my other cousins, everybody else was like, it's weird. Meme's a girl. And Meme wasn't, like, masculine. Mm-hmm. Like, she was a strong woman, but she wasn't masculine, you know? But, anyway.
What?
Somehow I'm like, wait, how did I get there? And I don't remember.
I have no idea. How you got there. But...
we were talking about kids and...
Yeah, I just think it's about the fear of death and the fear of extinction. I think is probably the thing. I've never worried about extinction, you know, because, you know, our worldview says we're going to live on and blah, blah, blah.
Well, yeah, because I always had this idea that we leave this forgotten reality where everything is going to be kind of forgotten as time progresses, and then we're going to enter a reality that remembers everything.
Right.
So I never felt like I was going to get lost, but that I was going to go somewhere else where I was going to be always. So. Right. But I do remember one time I had that feeling like, oh my gosh, like, because there'll be like people, you're always putting on these learning things and these people that have done like amazing things. And I'm like, I am 35 years old and I just learned about this person. You know, and they did, you would think, you know, with all the stuff that person did, that everybody would know about them. But there's lots of people that don't know about people that have done amazing things.
Right. So,
depends on your culture.
I thoroughly enjoyed the song. I really like the song.
Oh, I know. You were going everywhere with it, yeah.
It's just fun, man. You know, it's a fun song, kind of simplistic, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, like, that dude can sing, obviously. Yep. Like, I think that's one of the trade-offs you get for grunge versus hair metal is that you're going to have, you know, more substantive lyrics that are probably more close to home of what you're dealing with. But you're also going to have, you know, guys who can't sing like that.
Yeah. I felt like, okay, I like the sound of it, you know, and everything was kind of, but the lyrics were so corny, like the Dream Warriors, like, but that, don't you remember, there was like a lot of things in the 80s that were like, ba, 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 you know what I mean? So it was like, I don't know, it had like that 80s feel.
Yeah, well, it definitely had the dated 80s feel for sure. Like, I don't really, yeah, and I think that's one of the things that separates Metallica from a lot of bands, because you put Master of Puppets on, you listen to it today. My kids are going to listen to it. You put in, you know, For Whom the Bell Tolls, One, like, none of these are, I think it's probably because Hetfield didn't have the voice to emulate that stuff, so he had to kind of go the other way, you know. So, but yeah, this is good. Hopefully we hear more from this band, inshallah. What do you give the song?
9?
9.8 for me. I don't think the lyrics are corny because they're basing it on the title of the movie, Dream Warriors.
I get it.
Part 3. It's Dream Warriors. So I mean, you know, I think the corniness lies with whoever titled the movie Dream Warriors. Yeah. You know, but
I've been listening to Lacuna Coil so much at the gym. I'm like, I'm not waiting for anybody to put any more reactions for that. I'm listening to these songs.
Oh, you cheater.
I did, but this is my confession.
But, like, are you a big Lacuna Coil fan?
I really like Lacuna Coil, yeah, I do.
You like, the role changes, right? Because at the beginning of the channel, it was all songs I knew, but I wanted you to hear. So then you can tell me, hey, I want to listen to this Lacuna Coil song. So
yeah, that's
there you are, dear listener. Then out.
Sori out.
Gone. Where's the dream?